Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, hi. Today's video is my January reading wrap up, so I'm just going to talk about all the books I read this month. I did create a Storygraph account at the beginning of the year just because I like all their stats that they give you, so I don't have to go through and calculate all the stuff. It does it for you. And so this month I read 13 books, 4,382 pages. I read 10 physical books and 3 ebooks, which I did not think I was gonna read that much. The past 2 years, in 2021 I read 116 books. This past year I read 112 books, and I was struggling to meet that at the end of the year. I was reading a lot of 80-page spicy Christmas novellas to get me to my goal of 100. And so this year I actually put my reading goal to 50 books because I didn't want to stress myself out, and I wanted to read to have fun and to enjoy it, not to reach a goal. But I've read 13 out of 50 books already, so I feel like I might up it to 100. I don't know yet. We'll see. If I reach 50 by May, I probably will. But yeah, let's just get into all the books. I'm gonna scoot to the side so I can put the picture of the book on the screen. Also, my hair is crazy. The only day I have time to film videos is on Sundays, and Sundays is my hair wash day, and so my hair is always crazy in videos because I'm waiting to wash it. It doesn't pay for me to wash my hair and then get ready, because then I have to get unready again. It just makes sense to do my makeup and then take a shower and then be done, I don't know. First book I read this month was Playing Hard to Get by Monica Murphy. I give it 5 stars. Also, on my rating scale, I rate things a little funky. I give almost every single book I read 5 stars because if I don't like a book, I'm not going to read it. So how I kind of determine that is anything I give 5 stars is something I couldn't put down. I thought about it all day. I just wanted to read. I loved it. I would reread it again. It would get 5 stars. Anything that I give 4 stars, I liked it. I wasn't thinking about it as much as I do some other books, and I probably would never reread it again, but I'd still recommend it. That'd be 4 stars. Anything 3 stars, I had to force myself to read. I would never reread it again. I enjoyed it, but not too much. I'd give it 3 stars, and then I don't give anything 2 or 1 stars because I personally feel bad doing that. So that's how I rate my books. But Playing Hard to Get, I gave 5 stars. This is a football college romance. Anytime before I read a book, I always go on TikTok and look up the aesthetics for the book, and this one had Joe Burrow cast as the main guy, and that is what sold me on reading it. I was like, yup, Joe Burrow, gonna read it. So this one is about Knox and JoJo. Knox is the football player, the star football player of the team, and JoJo works at the campus bookstore. She also tutors people. Knox has a learning disability, and so he needs a tutor because if he gets more bad grades, he's not gonna be able to stay on the football team, and JoJo just happens to be his tutor. Okay, I need to turn my fan off because my hair keeps flying in my mouth. But JoJo ends up being his tutor. He falls hard for her. She doesn't exactly want a relationship. It kind of hints about how her dad was a football player, but then we never really get any more story on that, which kind of confused me a little bit because that's the whole reason she didn't want to date Knox, was because of her dad, and then they never really discussed her dad after that fact. And so that's the one thing I would change about the book, is to give her family a little bit more backstory. It's actually going to become a series too. The next book is going to be Knox's friend, and I think his roommate too. I'm pretty sure they live together, and his little sister. So Playing Hard to Get by Monica Murphy, 5 stars. Next up, I finally finished Beach Read by Emily Henry. I started this book, I want to say it was back in June. No, maybe July. Possibly August. I don't even know. And it took me forever to read it because I have a lake cabin, and they go to a lake cabin, and that's where this whole thing takes place. And so I really wanted to read it when I was at my lake cabin to get the whole vibes. But that's right when I found out I had my cyst, and I was in so much pain, and I just never went back to my lake cabin. And so that was part of the reason why it took me so long to finish it. But I wanted to finish it, and I did, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was so good. This one is with January and Gus. January's dad passes away, and so she has to go clean out his house that he had with his mistress. And guess who her next door neighbor is? Gus, the guy she had a crush on in college. They're both authors. She writes romance, he writes some sort of fiction, and so they both have books due, but they're struggling with writing, and so they come up with this deal that they're gonna switch genres, and then they're gonna take each other on little field trips of things that would happen in books in said genres. And it was so cute and so good, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars, like I said, and I'm so excited to read more of Emily Henry's books. Then I read The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. As you can tell, I am just on a sports romance binge. I was the previous month in December too. But this one was so cute. It's a closed door romance, so there's no spice in it, but it was still super good. So Nate and Bree were friends in high school, and then they lost touch during college, and then he runs into her and they become friends again, and then it forwards to the present. He's an NFL player and Bree owns her own dance studio. They're best friends. And one night they go out and have this dinner, and Bree confesses she has a crush on Nate in the bathroom where a reporter is in there. It gets out and they end up having to fake date, and it was so good. I gave it 5 stars. Like I said, there is no spice in it, but like you don't even like think about that while you're reading it. It's just that good and that cute. I definitely need to pick up more of Sarah Adams' books. And Sarah Adams just announced too that one of Nate's friends is getting his own book, which I cannot wait for. I'm so excited to read it. The next book I read this month is Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. This is one of my last Coho books that I have to read of hers, and I kept putting it off, and my friend Mariah was reading it, and I was like, okay, well, if you're reading it, I'm gonna read it too. And it was pretty good. I gave it 4 stars. It is YA, and I think I'm just getting to the age of that I can't really relate to that anymore, so I don't really enjoy reading it. I am 24, so I'm getting up there in age. Not really, but I connect more with like characters who are in their 30s, I feel like, than people who are 16. This book starts off with Merit. Anything that something goes wrong in her life, she collects a trophy for it. And so she's at the thrift store trying to get a trophy. This guy keeps staring at her. She gets a little creeped out. She goes outside, he follows her, and he kisses her. But he thinks that she's her twin. Fast forward a little bit, she ends up living with her family, and they live in this old church which they turned into a house. And then her parents are divorced. Her mom actually lives in the basement of the church, which her dad and his new wife and their son live in the upstairs, which is a little strange. And there's so much that like goes on. It just like keeps adding and adding and adding in this book. So that's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil anything, and I feel like if I talk more about it I'm gonna spoil it. But I gave this book 4 stars. It was okay. Like I said, it's YA. I feel like I don't really relate to that anymore, so it was hard for me to like connect to them. And there's just so much going on. I feel like this book could have took like 10 different turns. Like, it was different. It wasn't like any of Colleen's books I've read before. I still enjoyed it. I probably just wouldn't reread it again. Then I read Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this, oh my gosh, it was so good. Beyond 5 stars. If you read any book from today's video that I recommend, read this one. So this one is about a girl named Hannah. She kind of moves all over the place. Her family's located in London. They picked up and left when she was still in high school, and so she ended up moving in with her best friend's family. But it fast forwards to she's older now. I want to say she's in her 30s, and she's moving home back to California, and she moves in with her friend and her husband. The night she moves back, they go out for supper, and she runs into her old boyfriend, and this is where it gets so good. So you go between 2 different timelines, one where she goes home with her friend and her husband, and one where she goes home with Ethan. And so every other chapter it rotates between whichever path she took, and it was so good. I have never read anything like this before, and if any of you have any other books that are similar, let me know. I will read it. I ate this up. It was amazing. And then literally after I finished, I just sat there and I thought about everything that's like happened in my life, and like things, if it didn't happen, like what I think would be happening now. And it was just crazy. It's just a book that makes you think. Then the next book I read is How to Endo by Bridget. Don't know how to say her last name, but it's right there on the picture. I actually had surgery for endometriosis back in December. They found 20 spots of it in me, but I just wanted to read this to get a little bit more understanding on what endo is, the ways I can help treat it, and overall just how to live with it. And so I really did like this book. If you're going through any of that stuff, or if you suspect you have it, definitely get this book because there's a lot you can do to help it without having to have surgery, which is great. So I gave this book 5 stars because, you know, it's gonna help me live. I read Midnight Kisses by Jeannie Benedict. I actually finished this one this morning. I started it a few days ago. The beginning was really slow. This book is almost 600 pages, but the end is worth it. Like once you get past the like 35% mark, it gets so good. This is about Greta and Otis. Otis plays on the football team, and Greta's dad is the head coach. Greta's dad does not want any of the football players dating his daughter, and so it is a secret relationship, friends with benefits, romance. I feel like there was a lot of stuff added in that She could have taken out to make it a little bit shorter though, but overall I liked it. There was a tiny plot twist around like the 75% mark, which I did not see coming. Well, I kind of did, but kind of not. I didn't think it would happen in that way, but it was still really good. I gave it 5 stars. Then I read the whole Tattered and Torn series by Catherine Cowles. If you like Devoney Perry and small town romance, you will love this series. They are all romantic suspense small town books. I actually wrote down all the tropes for them, so we're just gonna read them off the notes on my phone. So Tattered stars is enemies to lovers, and there's a sheriff hero. It actually starts off with Everly. Her dad is a little bit different. They kind of, I don't know how, it's kind of like a cult. I don't know if it's like technically a cult, but they think like doctors are evil, the police is all corrupt, like all this stuff, like they just live off the land. And so her dad kidnaps a little girl because he is trying to get the evil out of her. Everly's brave. She takes her horse into town, tells the sheriff what's going on. They go and rescue the girl, and then it fast forwards, I think like 10 years in the future, maybe more. And Everly's older now. She goes back to town because her mom passed away. She gets the land. Her dad's in jail. No, there's no one else to take it. So she moves back to the small town, and the now sheriff is Shiloh, the girl that her dad kidnaps, older brother. And he is not happy that she's in town. Obviously, you know, they end up falling for each other because, I mean, you know that with any romance book you go into. It was so good. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it, and it just set up the whole series perfect. The next book in this series is Falling Embers. Book 2 is with Hayes' best friend and then his little sister, so it was so good. The tropes are single dad, he has twin girls, which was so cute to read about, brother's best friend, and then friends to strangers to lovers. And Hadley actually has her own they don't call it like a YouTube channel, but it's like a page she posts videos on, and she ends up getting a stalker, and it was so good. I loved it. The next one in the series is Hidden Waters. This one was one of my favorites in the series. It is with Addie and Beckett, which is Hayes' older brother, and then Addie is actually Everly's cousin, and she was in the same kind of cult type thing that Everly was in, but she just got out of it, and so she's very innocent. She's learning how to be independent, how to be herself. And Beckett is actually a doctor. He moved back after something that happened in the book before that, and he realized he had to be home. Don't want to give any spoilers, but he needed a place to live, and Addie is currently living in Hayes' old house because obviously Hayes and Everly got together and they moved to her house, and so they end up living together, and she kind of just has to learn how to deal with having a roommate. So this one has forced proximity and the roommate trope. She was also very, I don't want to say like scarred from her old life, but a lot of things are different. She has to like relearn and try a lot of things because she was never able to before. And then the next book in the series is Shattered Sea. So Lakin works at the art gallery in town, and Bowden is in town. He's trying to stay low a little bit. Things are going on with his family life. Like I said, he's a celebrity, so he is just trying to lay low. This one is probably like the most like crazy out of all of them. It had the biggest plot twist that I did not see coming. When Lakin was younger, she was in a car accident, which sadly her boyfriend at the time passed away in, and so she has a lot of trauma with that, not only like mentally but physically too. She is not okay. On the outside she looks okay, but on the inside she has a lot of pain, which I can relate to because most of the time with my endometriosis I look fine on the outside and I seem happy and okay, but on the inside I am in so much pain. So I related to her on that front, but as this one goes on, it just gets crazy. Like crazy. I loved this one. It was so good. 5 stars. I don't know if I've been saying my star ratings for all these, but I've given them all 5 stars. They were so good. And then the last one in the series is Fractured Sky, which I was waiting for this one. It is Shiloh's book. Shiloh is the little girl in the first book in the series that got kidnapped. So I've been waiting for her book, and it was so good. 5 stars. But this one is between Shiloh and Ramsey. Ramsey is a horse trainer who got in some trouble with the law before, so he doesn't have many friends in town. A lot of people don't like him because he was previously in jail, but Shiloh does. And that's all I'm going to say about it. You just need to go read this series. 5 stars for that one. 5 stars for the whole series. Like I said, if you love Devoney Perry small town romance, you will Love these books. And the last book I actually started this morning. I'm only a little bit into it, but I still have 2.5 days left of the month. I'm filming this on Sunday. February 1st isn't until Wednesday, so I have time. I know I'm going to finish it. And it's The Infinity Between Us by N.S. Perkins. And I already know it's going to be a 5-star read. I love it. If you like Every Summer After, Love in Other Words, you would love this book. It goes between present and past timelines, which I love when that's in books. And it's between Violet and Will. So far, from my understanding, Violet goes to her old beach house to sell it because something happened between her and Will and the two families, and they just don't go anymore. But when she gets there, Will is already there, and he is there to tell the realtor to leave. They do not want to sell it. That's like as far as I've gotten, but it is so good. I really like it, and I'm excited to read it. I want to start reading more kind of beachy summery books because, like I said, I'm going to Hawaii, so I want to get in the beachy vacation Hawaii mood. So yes, next month and the month after that, expect a lot of summer reads, which is good because it's going to be spring soon, it's going to be summer soon, and that is what people are going to want to read. But yeah, that is all the books that I read this month. I feel like I did a pretty good variety of books, and I really liked a lot of them. Also, I get questions every time I wear this sweater. It says books, books, and more books. I can have it linked down below. It's from the Cutesy class. She actually makes teacher graphic shirts. Not a teacher, but I do like books, so that is why I bought it. She has a short sleeve option too if you don't like crew necks, or at least she did when I bought it a while ago. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you read any of the same books I read this month, let me know. Or if there's any other videos you want me to film, any books you think I would like, leave me a comment down below. I will check them out. I will also, like I said earlier, I'll have all the links down below to all the books too, so if you want to just quickly go and look at them, you can do it that way. I do have my Instagram too, which I'm a lot more active on there than I am on here. It's just jessbraunvlogs. I'll put it on the screen right here. That link is down below too, as well as my Goodreads and my Storygraph links. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had a great reading month, and I hope February is going to be a good one for you guys too. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.